idigculture.com.
This is an online program, of course, hosted by idigculture.com, which we are a media channel where people gather to learn about other cultures from the world. And this is just one of many episodes to come. And today we are going to be discussing spirituality. That's right. So we've got a panel of guests. Of course, we want you to chime in as well. This is a discussion that we're having. And again, today's topic is spirituality. It's a little broad, but we're going to get into it. But first, we have three members or three guests. And I guess you can see their names, or we'll go to each of them and get a brief introduction. And we can start with Emre.
Hi. Well, my name's Emre. I'm originally from the Netherlands, but my father is Turkish. My mother is Dutch. So I have two cultures. I'm married to a Korean woman, and I'm living in Korea since roughly 2 years now.
Okay.
No?
So it sounds like you have three cultures now, then.
Yeah, three cultures.
You're a culture collector. And
Yeah.
we also have Isaac as well. What's up, Isaac?
Hey, what's up? Hi, I'm Isaac. I'm a staff writer for I Dig Culture. My nationality is Korean American, and thanks for having me on here today.
All right, and then finally, of course, we've got Brian joining us. What's up, Brian? Looks like Brian. Brian, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was
Okay.
just gonna kind of not talk for this episode, but
Oh, is that right?
yeah.
Well, you're going to talk now. You're in. So Brian is the creative director of Culture Talk. He was trying to control us behind the scenes, but because we have exposed him, we can do whatever we want now.
I can't keep any secrets from you guys.
No more secrets. So, I mean, we're going to have a big, it's kind of an overview, a big topic, I guess. A brief overview is that it's spirituality. That's kind of what we're going to be discussing. But I think what's important is when we start, we get an idea of, everybody's, I guess, perspective of what is spirituality. Because everyone can have a different amount of it in their day-to-day lives, right? We all have different religions and so on and so forth. So I want to kind of get some background from everybody on, what do they think constitutes spirituality. And I guess we can start with, let's start with Brian, since we got you already.
Okay. I grew up Catholic, and yeah, I think it had I can't say I'm a practicing Catholic right now, but I think it had a overall positive influence on my life. So I'm of the opinion that depending on the situation, I think religion can have a positive or negative influence on your life.
Okay. But it's interesting, you mentioned religion, but a lot of people separate, spirituality from I think, an organized religion. So I know, because you always have those friends that say, I'm not religious, but I believe there's a higher power somewhere. So I think that's there's a big group of those kinds of people. But let's get to Emre's perspective. What do you consider to be spirituality, Emre?
Spirituality is not something that I am really, using or I need it or something, because I'm an atheist, so I don't have any use for it. It's like what you described is it's like believing in a higher power, and if that's a religion or something else, that people decide that for themselves, and religion has something to do with spirituality, but it's not the only ingredient, I think. But as I said, I don't have any use for it. I don't have any feeling with it. I feel like it's if people talk about spirituality, I don't have any connection to it.
Okay. And then Isaac, I want to get your opinion. What do you think about overall spirituality in general? Is this something that plays a part in your life?
Sometimes. You see, spirituality isn't always necessarily about religion, and a lot of people associate spirituality with religion. Thing is, you can have spirituality even though you're not religious. You can feel a higher entity or some other kind of force within yourself, or maybe perhaps outside forces. But the thing is, it's something that you really kind of feel, but you have no explanation for it. It's not scientific, and you can't measure these. You can't measure how much spirituality you have. It's just about how it feels from the inside, and that's what spirituality is.
Okay. So, I mean, as you can see, almost everyone out there as well that tunes in, you're going to have a different idea of, I think, what spirituality is and how much of it plays a part in each of our guests' lives. I think we can kind of glean that just from, your opinions. Now, the reason why I ask about your sort of view of spirituality is because we kind of want to take in the role of maybe religion, or do societies need these organized religions to function? Because how big of a role do you think that it plays in our society? So I want to start off with you, Brian. That kind of.
It's going back to me. I wasn't going to say anything today. Okay. All right. You're putting me on the spot. Okay. So the question was.
How do you think that religion should play some role in, I guess, society in general? Like, is in our general society, what role is it playing right now? Is it just this thing that people practice if they want to, and we leave it alone, or is it something that has influence, or that just what role do you think it plays? Is it as influential as we think?
Religion provides a sense of meaning in people's lives. It provides them with a sense of belonging to the world that they belong to. And finally, it provides a list of morals and guidelines for how to live. And religion has been important to people for thousands of years, and it's provided those roles for society. So, yeah, looking at it from a functionalist perspective, I think religion is quite useful for society.
Okay. All right. What about you, Emre?
Yeah, religion has a big influence and a big importance in the world. It connects people, and it also causes a lot of trouble in the world, especially if people are from different religions. There are small groups of very extreme religious people who are causing a lot of trouble. There is a big majority that uses religion in their daily life that doesn't cause any trouble. But there is also a group that wants to expand their religion and try to force it on other people. So it's really a mixed world. It's very difficult to say what religion specifically does. It's so complex. It is so big that you cannot just say that it's like only a negative influence or something. There are, of course, some positives too for some people.
Okay. Now, with just one more additional question, Emre, would you say then it is beneficial for societies to have a religion?
It depends on how you use that religion. If you use religion as a purely personal thing that you practice by yourself and in your own house, even in church, and keep it that way, then sure, if some people really need it. But if you try to use it to have an agenda and try to force it on other people and try to force your views on society, then it has a negative influence, and it's not wanted.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Isaac. What do you think? Are these, spirituality, I guess, in society, is this a positive thing? Is it good for society to have religions or a religion?
Of course we need religion in our society. See, I don't know what this atheist Emre is talking about, how he doesn't need spirituality or religion. But mark my words, religion has played a big role in our society, and you can say that some people try to force it on you. We want spirituality and religion all over the place. We want people to feel what everyone else is feeling. I mean, sure, sometimes people might be a little too pushy with their religion, but overall, it helps society grow and bind together. I
But
don't
do you,
understand why he doesn't understand that.
uh, the little atheist, he looks about 6'4", though. I think Emre's got some size on it.
You
But
can be 6'4", you can be 7'2", but without religion in your heart,
right.
you smell like this, okay?
But Isaac, do you go to do you go to a church on the weekends or every Easter, or how big of a role does it play? It sounds like it plays a big role in your life. Then that's what I can kind of get from what you're saying. Is that right?
I try.
He tries. That means no, folks. So we got
I mean,
Isaac's view. That means no for sure. Now, I asked that because we're going to kind of zoom in a little on the topic. To be more precise, I think the question we want to ask is, should then churches pay taxes? I think we can kind of establish that church and spirituality kind of be the similar things, whatever it is, it's a set of beliefs. Should churches pay taxes? And I ask this because we've just, all three of us, or all three of you, have kind of said that in some way it's a benefit to society. So if it is a benefit to society, the answer would probably be no, that they should not pay taxes. But I'm curious to find out what you think. Should churches pay taxes? And here, even in Korea, I asked a friend of mine before we got on the air, but you know, Korea, one of the most Christian countries in the world. You know, in Korea, they've got mega churches, and also in the U.S., all the Korean population, the Korea towns have huge churches. So that's kind of an issue here in the country as well. People in Korea want, or there is a lot of people in Korea that are wanting the churches to be taxed. So they obviously don't charge or tax churches in the States. So do you think churches should be taxed? That is the question. And we can start off with Brian, just to be fair.
Churches are charitable organizations, and for generations they've played very important roles in American culture. So a lot of times Americans are criticized for not having a good welfare program, but you can't say that Americans aren't generous. I think I read a statistic somewhere that said that Americans are some of the most generous people in the world. They donate a lot of their money and time into charities, and a lot of those are driven to churches. So if you tax the churches that play such an integral role in providing services for underprivileged people, that could have some serious consequences. So I don't think churches should be taxed in America.
Okay. All right. Brian staying
Hallelujah.
consistent. Let's go to Emre now. What's up, Emre? What do you believe? Do you think that you know, being being atheist, which some people could argue is a religion in itself, you know, being an atheist is still a set of beliefs. I guess it depends on what you would classify as a religion. But earlier, I found it interesting. You didn't contradict what you're saying, but you did say, okay, societies, you know, society having spirituality or religions is positive. It gives them something to believe. But then you're an atheist, so aren't they believing something that is foolish? You know what I mean? So I just want to know, should churches pay taxes? I would think, you being an atheist, you would think, sure, they would definitely should be taxed, right?
Yeah, of course. There are also other organizations that do a lot of charity, and they have to pay tax. So why should you make a difference between churches and non-churches? Like every religion who has that kind of organization should pay taxes. Why not? And also, like, a lot of these charities also are also a missionary, have also a missionary function. So they give help, but they also want you to be religious or something. So it's not all so innocent that it's all charity. It's also a lot of trying to, like, improve or like make their influence bigger and greater. And on other charity organizations who don't have a religion and have to pay taxes, it's not fair for them that they have to do it and the others, like the churches, don't. And like I said, I'm with that, what I meant, like spirituality and religion has a place in this world for some people
Mm.
because they believe in God and they feel like safe with it and they feel like they are it helps them. But there are also people who don't have that, and like me. I am not really extreme that I should say that people shouldn't believe because I think there is no God.
Hmm.
But well, I think my personal opinion is that they're wrong, that there is no God. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you cannot have the discussion. They can still believe, and if they can explain why, then okay. But yeah, you should have a rational discussion about it.
Hmm.
If you on rational ground can explain why you think there is a God,
Hmm.
fine, it's fine for you. Maybe you have something. Maybe you have some benefit, but it shouldn't be that you are treated special because you believe in God.
Okay, I think that's a great point. And we got to go, my man. Isaac here. What do you think, Isaac? Are we going to
All right,
tax your
I
beloved
think
churches?
I think Emre is just talking Dutch Liberal Party, all that nonsense. Okay,
Okay.
I have a question for you then.
All
All
right.
right, let's say you're in a club, let's say a band or a chess club, let's say.
Oh man, I was cool, and then you put me in a chess club. What happened?
All
All
right,
right.
listen. Okay, you're in a club and you just want to spread this fun this fun activity with other people, and then they want to come and tax you. Now think about that. Your let's say it doesn't have to be church or religion. It can
Uh,
be anything, any kind of activity, and we're doing charity work and whatnot. Then they
mhm.
come in and they want to tax you for all the stuff you've been giving back to society. I mean, now that doesn't make no sense to me. Okay?
All the chess I gave back to society.
Exactly.
Isaac has a point, but I think the reason why I say is that, the main proponents for the arguments, I guess, for churches not being taxed is kind of like what Brian alluded to, which is that they provide some kind of service or charity or moral compass to the people. But I think, man, I think that's a tough argument, that maybe that they
Yeah.
just get a benefit. So a lot of people really aren't, and why not atheists? Why shouldn't they get a tax break? I think as well, right?
Well, they're
And
not
before,
spreading anything. I mean, they have their own personal philosophies and whatnots, but church is about, and religion is about having people come together and sharing their beliefs and practicing, their spirituality, and then you want to go and tax that? Hmm.
but
Mm.
No.
if I may say something, if you go back to what Edwin said about Korea is Korea is a really religious country and has a lot of churches and also a lot of Christian people, but these churches also do one thing. They are stifling development. They are holding back some people's rights. There was like a meeting in the town hall this week, and like 200 or 300 Christian protesters stormed in and disrupted the whole meeting about gay rights.
Mm.
So church is also about a lot of exclusion of people who think differently, and that's one part of religion I really hate. I don't see atheists doing that to religious people most of the time, like excluding them from some basic rights. They always have something as a special position in society. It's also special. Oh, we have to have religious freedom, which I'm all for. But then you also have to look at the other way. Also, people who don't have a religion or have a different religion have to have the same rights as you have. So, yeah. What else would I want to say?
Listen, I don't understand why you're bringing in the whole gay rights issues here, but listen, that's a completely different issue. And you want to talk about exclusion? It's not necessarily exclusion. We have separation of church and state. And people that believe in some form of religion, they come together, and then they talk and share in their own beliefs. And then you atheists, you have your own philosophies and your own beliefs, okay? Can someone with a religion be an atheist? Of course not. It's the same kind of exclusion. That's just a bunch of standards we all set for each other.
I think the atheist and the religious people, they both look at each other the same way, with the same snicker, you know, like, they just don't know. You know, I think so. That standoff is never going to get solved. But looking at it from just a practical point, I mean, I guess it boils down to, do you think that the church it's an organization, look at it as a random organization, do they play a big enough role in society, like it's touted, for them to have that tax exemption? You know, if the Boys and Girls Club of America, you know, they do all these social programs, should they pay tax? You know, so you're putting the church on par with these purely charitable organizations. Do you think that would be assuming that churches are purely charitable organizations nowadays, and we know that they're not? I mean, if you've ever been to a mega church, there's a church that's built right around the corner near Seocho, and you would think it was a hotel, not a church. You know, you would think it was like a Hyatt hotel instead of a church. So I asked a Korean friend of mine, I said, should churches be taxed? And they said yes. I think they take a less emotional view of religion than, say, Americans. So automatically they should be taxed. She pointed to the church and said, I mean, if you're bringing in that much money to build a huge church, that means you should pay a little bit back to, you know, the community. And I think that's like one of the main points. So what would you say to that, Brian? You haven't spoken in a while. What do you think? Are churches, are they charitable organizations?
Yeah, so I can't defend all of the churches. Yeah, Emery made a really good point that a lot of these churches use the money that they acquire to push their own agenda, and yeah, that's absolutely a horrible thing. But you know, for every rule that exists to defend people's rights, there's always going to be people that use that same rule to abuse it. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't keep those same values or keep the rules to. So, yeah, people can abuse that. That's why, you know, I'm sure mega churches, they can make a lot of money in America without having to pay taxes. But I guess that's the sacrifice I'm willing to take to keep that simple law, so that the people who aren't abusing that power aren't harmed by the change in the rules.
Okay. Well, Emery, what do you think? Do you think that, you know, for churches, if they are, do they deserve that status as an organization that should not pay a tax?
No, they don't deserve that.
Okay. And
because it's the same reasons that that's not purely charitable, and if you see the amount of power abuse there is in churches and the amount of money that is used for other things, it's not fair to other people not pay taxes. And paying taxes is doing also charitable work, because you're giving back money to the government, and the government can use it for education, for building roads, for anything. So I don't understand why paying taxes is then such a bad thing. Maybe it's an American thing. Americans don't like to pay taxes a lot, and they're always angry at Washington. But in Europe, it's a little bit different. We have different views about taxes, especially in the Netherlands. If I tell you the percentages we pay for taxes, I think you will get a heart attack. So it's a different mindset with us. It's really beneficial to pay taxes, so your government can pay for your healthcare and for your education and for your infrastructure.
But I'd rather choose where my money goes to. if you pay lots of taxes, then some other organization, the government, is making that choice, and your government might be corrupt. So I have a
No
choice
way.
to choose what church or what charity organization I want to donate it to. I don't want the government to play the role in distributing that money.
Well, here's something. Aren't we being naive? I mean, we're arguing about, should a church pay tax? But in my opinion, and it's unfortunate because the devout, Christian or church member is represented by Isaac here. But should the churches? Are we just fooling ourselves? The church, let's face it, they got a nice loophole. They're not paying taxes. They still get their influence. I mean, isn't that what's really going on? So shouldn't we kind of have a less ideological approach and say, look, you're an organization that had it good for a while, but now you're going to have to pay taxes because we know what you are.
Listen,
is that not
all right.
where it has to be?
Our host is falling into our little liberal atheist Emre here, but churches aren't corporations. They're not out to make money. They're out to save people. Okay?
But Isaac, they're making money.
People, and then you want to tax them. Okay, the reasons why we have mega churches and they're spreading is because there's that many people that seek redemption in religion and churches, and that's why they go and seek these places, and they don't have to pay any entrance fees to get in, or they don't. Sure, they can donate to the church, but aside from that, there is no mandatory price that people of religion come and pay for. Whereas in corporations, they're just out to seek money, and that's why they're taxed. But for churches, it's not about the money at all. I'm sure you're sure there are a few bad apples out there, but you're not going to mix all them bad apples with the rest of the lot and stereotype like that.
Okay.
I mean, there are a lot of other atheists that have done some bad things and gotten away with it, but we don't blame atheism, do we?
Well, it doesn't have to necessarily be bad things. Let's just clarify. It's not bad things that the church is doing. It's just that the fact that should they just pay tax like everyone else. And I think we got a lot of different ideas here. Let's get some final thoughts. We kind of have to leave it at that. There's no resolution. We want all of you to as well get involved and leave your comments as well. But let's get some final thoughts from our panel. And Emre, I want to start with you. And the overall question, going back to spirituality and its role in society, and should churches be taxed? I guess if you can wrap it all up in a bow for us, just your overview and your belief on the subject.
Of course, churches should be taxed because they should be treated like any other organization. If you see how many rich pastors there are in America, and a few are in the top 10 are from Nigeria. They use that money for their own personal wealth, personal gain. There are a lot of examples like this. Also, the Catholic Church uses a lot of money for their own personal gain. There are a lot of rich religious high persons in the church. So then there is also a lot of power abuse, and there are a lot of things going on. They're using their political influence and everything. So if you can tax them because of that, that would be great, because that will make their lives a little bit more difficult. So yeah, I think they should just be treated like a normal organization, and they should be taxed.
All right, there you go. There's Emre. What about Brian? Let's go with you, and then we'll close out with Isaac.
Okay, I want to respond to what Edwin said about there being so many rich pastors and religious leaders. I was raised Catholic, so I can comment on that. Most religious leaders within the Catholic Church have to live a life of poverty. They're poor. I mean, the Catholic Church is the largest Christian religious organization, I think. But those priests and archbishops, first of all, they can't accumulate that much wealth and they can't have sex. So that's
But
that,
we're not. They're not going to tax the. You know, that was Emre's case talking about the pastors, but they're not going to tax the Catholic priests. They're going to tax the poor Catholic Church that some argue run the universe. You know what I mean, Brian? So, you know, come on, let's be honest here. They're not going to tax the poor guys.
he was referring to like what religious leaders within the Catholic Church are really living at large, like driving like Corvettes around. And
The Pope has that. Have you seen that go-kart? That thing is awesome. It's got like bulletproof bubble on it.
Who, the Pope?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you guys are just targeting just rich religious figures. Now that's not fair. If you're gonna target top, religious figures that make some decent money, then why not go after everyone else that's exactly in the same boat? I mean,
Well, I think we leaked over to assuming that, you know, all the extra money will go to these pastors that are driving Bentleys and stuff. And the reason why we think that is because there's enough of it that happens to make it that way. But what the real topic is about, you know, should the organizations themselves have to pay back to society for existing? You know what I mean? And that's kind of like, to me, what the issue is really about. Tax just representing whatever that is, giving back to your society. But I don't know. These were kind of supposed to be closing comments, but we could probably have another, 30-minute discussion on leaking off topic. But just to kind of give Brian, we'll have to be, to be continued on some of this. But your basic overview of the topic: should churches, pay taxes? Do they need to pay taxes or not?
Okay. Since in the spirit of I Dig Culture, I'm going to bring culture into the discussion here. I think we really need to look at the cultural context here. In some Muslim countries where Islam is the cultural norm, that's just a part of their society. So most people within those demographics are going to be all Muslim, and it's the, I don't know, what's the word for like church and
You mean mosques?
yeah, within their organization, they do a lot of charity work within their organization.
Mm-hmm.
And if they play that role in that Muslim society, maybe in that context they shouldn't be taxed. In the case of America, religion is very important to us. So I don't think they should be taxed in that context. But if you go to the Netherlands, where I guess people aren't that religious, then maybe in that cultural context, maybe taxing would be appropriate. I don't know.
So you're saying, depending on how important, religion is to that country, how big of an influence it is.
Religion is
on that
our cultural heritage in America.
Okay.
exactly, and you can't tax our traditions and cultures, can we now? That doesn't make any sense.
Okay. All right. So I think that's a perfect way to wrap up. That's what I was waiting for. So again, it's a great topic. I think a lot of people will have differing opinions, and I think that's what's great. We're not here to solve the problems. We're just here to kind of put some topics out there, some ideas, and of course, unfortunately, we're going to wrap it up. And I want to say thank you to Brian, Emre, and also Isaac as well for joining us. Of course, you can join in on this discussion as well. Go to the I Dig Culture channel, of course, and comment and click below to subscribe as well. Visit idigculture.com for more information. Also to view recorded shows and comment as well. And if you have any ideas on topics, or if you want to participate, you can comment or send us an email, I guess, there as well, right? All right, guys.
Every participant is going to get a free Bible from me. Okay?
There you go.
I'm going to send one out to Emre and you. Okay.
Don't worry. This is on tape now, so this is official. We're going to get that from Isaac. Thanks, you guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
Okay. Bye.
All right. See ya.
Bye.